He's relentless in his pursuit. He will never stop until they are eradicated. It's Dan the Man, fresh off his long trip this morning to pick up Daddy's truck. Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Bill. This is Pirate Solutions Forestry, and over there, I don't know if you can see him or not, is Danny on the hunt, fresh off our trip to pick up my repaired truck that is as quiet as the day that I bought it. Big relief to me, big load off of my mind. Now I just got to go ahead and get the thing inspected, and that truck should live through another year. What I'm doing today is I'm getting set up to cut 4-pitch angles on the top of these 8x8 top plates. So if you don't know what's going on, we are cutting a post and beam. It's 24 feet long by 12 feet deep. There are 3 posts in the front, 3 posts in the back, 2 beams in the front, 2 beams in the back, spanning halfway plus an overhang. So these are 14 footers, which means they will span the 12 feet from the center of the center post to the outside of the outside post, plus another 2 feet for an overhang on the sides. What I want to do for the customer, so this customer's a welder, he's not a joiner like I am. Rather than him having to cut rafter seats, I am going to pre-cut a 4-pitch angle on the top of these plates. If you don't know what a 4-pitch is, that is for every 1 foot of run, you have 4 inches of rise. And up in our area of the country, a 4-pitch is the minimum required for snow shedding and rain and proper rain shedding. So we want to give the maximum amount of height in the back, and the 4-pitch is going to do that for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut an angle on the top of these and utilize the side that had wane on them when we cut all 4 of these out of the same log. If you didn't watch that video, it came out yesterday. Go back and watch it. Actually, I don't know when this one will come out. So it was like the video prior to this. It was cutting big monster white pine log into 8x8s. What we're going to do with these is we're going to tilt them to our desired angle, which is 18.4 degrees. And I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to double check them. And also we are going to scribe a 4-pitch on the end down there as an idiot mark to double check ourselves when we come up to the log to make sure that we're in the ballpark. They only need to be in the ballpark. Obviously, I have a 16 and, where's my 16 and 5/16 beam saw, Makita, a big beam saw. I could cut this angle with that. It will not cut all the way through 8 inches, but I could start that angle over a little bit. Wouldn't be a problem. All it would do is move the roof up. The more you start the angle towards the corner, the lower the rafters are going to be, but also would cause a funny little transition there. We are going to cut them right from the corner, so there's a straight angle, getting rid of this wane at 18.4 degrees, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. Now, I'm not saying this is the only way to do it. This is the way that I'm going to make sense of it in my brain to do it now. And it's pretty repeatable. It's not a super complicated process. You could scribe a line on the end and kind of get it shimmed approximately right, line up your band and cut across it. I'm going to show you a couple little tools so you can get it pretty damn close. So the tools we are going to be using today are a standard speed square. Now this crescent speed square actually has an extension on it, so it can mark out more than its 6 inches. And your common pitches are right here next to the common. So we can use that 4 pitch right there to scribe our line. We're also going to use a digital angle finder and an incline meter. And an incline meter looks basically like this. It's got all of the angles on it and has a little bubble level. And once we set our board to our 18.4 as close as we can get it off this, you have to understand, you start getting down to these 0.4 of a degree, it's a little bit fiddly. So we'll get it as close as we can get it. Then we'll set our incline meter to that. I'll show you how to do that. We will also scribe a line on the end. So when we come up to the log, we have a way to double check ourselves. So it might be kind of hard to see my face here, but I'm going to do my best to explain what's going on. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get this thing in the ballpark. Now, for your digital angle finder to work, it has to be perpendicular to your workpiece. So I just use my square to get this thing kind of perpendicular. We're going to turn it on. And I've already calibrated it. Now, if it was showing, like right now, it's showing 1/10 of a degree. It was showing 0 when I first turned it on, but it's showing 1/10 of a degree, probably because I leaned on it over there. Yep, I leaned on it here and it went back to 0. So if yours was in off degree, you would want to calibrate it to 0 right now. And what we're going to do is we are going to tilt this up. And I cut myself a couple of 2x2 chunks. I know that the sine on a 14-degree angle at 8 inches is like 2 2/3 of an inch. So this 2-inch piece just needs to be smaller than that because it's going to go in a little bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to get this as close to 18.4 as we possibly can. And then we'll put some marks on this one. And then we'll go down there and we'll do it on the other end too. I have another one that bridges those 2 bunks, leaving the center open so I can use the clamp. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to, I apologize if I get in you guys' way, but I'm watching the degrees with you at this point. So we're going to rock it over until this just starts to go underneath. Right now it's at 17.4. I'm just going to go under a little more. And I want to try to kind of keep it straight. You can eyeball that. I'm like 17.3. We're going to go under a little more. Right now I'm at 18.3. It actually showed 18.4. So right here, what I'm doing is I'm looking at my gap. It's approximately a 1/2 inch. I'm going to make this side the same, or approximately the same. See what that did to it. Oh, I'm 18.2. 18.1. I lean on this side. 18.1. This is going to go in a teeny bit more, like a teeny bit. 18.2. Still showing 18.2. Could have gone a little more. 18.6. To come out just a hair. This is way overkill, guys. This is getting it to kind of ridiculous tolerances here. All right, I'm showing 18.5. All right, we're going to call that. What I'm going to do, I'm going to grab a pencil, and I'm going to mark this board right here. Since they're all cut the same, So I know approximately where to put it back to get myself back to where I was. Still showing 18.3. Now, on the incline meter here, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take this incline meter and we're going to slide it to approximately, that's 19, that's 18. We're going to try and split the difference. And we're going to put this on here. We're going to actually get this bubble centered. Okay. The bubble's centered now. It's showing me right in between 18 and 19 degrees. So it kind of agrees with it. Hopefully this thing will focus. Showing right in between 18 and 19 degrees. And I'm going to keep this as an idiot check, so I don't have to keep using this. And we're going to go down the other end and we're going to kind of do the same thing. We're going to make sure that it's really close. All right, so we're going to do the same thing here. Now, I apologize for the view. This is hard filming inside of the sawmill. I'm going to kind of slide this in here. We're going to flip on our digital meter. Now, our other one is showing me that we need to go up a little bit. This is already calibrated, so we should just be able to turn it on and see where we are. Oh, no, it's not. I take it back. I need to go to 18.4. Showing me that this has got to come up just a little bit. It's showing 17.5. I'm going to move this over to right over the bunk here, and I'm going to square it up because it does make a difference whether it's square or not. So I'm showing 17 degrees right now. So this needs to come up just a hair, or a little more angle, should I say. My bubble in my incline meter is fairly close. Oh, that was destined to happen, wasn't it? Uh, 18.9, that's a little too far in. I want to double check my brace down the other end and make sure it's tight, because there's a possibility that, yeah, that's still tight there. There is a possibility that this, I can't get this perfect because I'm going to pick it up off the other shim. Okay, that's 18.2. You know, we're at the mercy of how, when you start talking about tenths of a degree at how perfect this log is milled and everything else. So we're going to start at the corner here. We're going to rock this thing over to 4 on the common pitch. We are going to extend this one. Okay, got my 4. And then as an idiot check, we're going to see how far that is down, because it should be somewhere around 2 5/8. And it is exactly 2 5/8. So let's bring our band up here and see what that line looks like with the band. So we know that that corner is rotated down, so it's going to be less than 8. We'll just start a little less than 8. Let's go see where it is. All right, so what that's showing me, kind of like we were reading on the incline meter, is it's going to tilt a little more. I'm going to tilt it a little more, set up my level one here, it's showing the same. I'm going to tilt it a little more. Just got to go a shade more. Which is probably going to put this 2x2 down here flush. Let's see what that looks like. So that's perfect. Right now I'm perfectly level. I'm just going to turn on the digital gauge and see what that's telling me. It's kind of like a little confirmation here. And it's really close. It's showing me 18.6. So I'm going to write flush on this one. I'm just going to go double check the other end real quick. Yeah, we're right in the ballpark. 18.6 down there too. So right now we're set up to where our angle is correct. Some tools out of my hands. And we got to get this thing clamped down. We got to get this thing clamped down somewhere below that where it's not going to move around so we can cut that angle off. All right, so we're going to get this thing clamped off. I know I can use a manual clamp here just to hold it in place. This manual clamp, maybe. Let's try it. I don't know if it's going to hit. Yeah, I thought it might hit that. And it feels pretty secure. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring my saw head in and make this cut. I want to note where the saw head is at what height. So all the rest of them have to be cut technically at that same height. And then all I really have to do is just put, this board in here to those lines and put that one in flush. And kind of what that's telling me is it's telling me a little bit that my mill might be a little bit tweaked from all the heavy logs I've been doing. This isn't going to move. I think we're in good shape. Let's go ahead and do it. So before I fire it up and I have to listen to it, I want to make sure that the band is right at, let me come down just a hair. Looks like 7 5/8. That's right at the corner is 7 5/8. That looks perfect. So I'm going to write down 7 5/8 really quick. So I know that all of them that I cut are going to start at 7 5/8. 18.4 degrees at 7 5/8. And that'll mean that every single one is the same height to the angle on the far side. Let's fire this thing up and let's see if we can make this cut. Hopefully nothing moves. Let's try it. Now, it looked like that went really well. We'll go ahead and I'll bring you over. We'll check it out. We'll be able to tell by any flat spot on the backside. You have to understand, we're doing this with, you know, pretty rough machinery right now. This is not like precision. This beam wasn't cut precision. There's no precision here. And let's get our blocks out from underneath it. We'll put these blocks right under the mill. So a speed square is how you're doing 90% of your framing. When you're cutting rafters and everything, you're just rocking it over to 4. And on the speed square, I'm showing pretty perfect. You know, I don't know how well this is going to show up, but I have like a 32nd of an inch here and about a 32nd of an inch here. I'm rocked right over to 4, lining up with this edge. So this is way, way close enough. You could just do it with this, guys. The only reason I'm using the digital scale is to help me get both ends set up. Obviously, if I just fiddled with this end until I got this end perfect, then I'd have to go down there and do that with that. But by using the digital scale on both ends, it gets me way closer in the ballpark. And this milled out great. So now I only have to do this 3 more times. It cut all the wane off like we talked about in the other video. And as long as I come in 7 5/8 above the bunk, let's see what that measurement is to the top of that. So I'm showing exactly 8 inches to that corner. As long as I come in 7 5/8, because as you can imagine, it's tilted on every one, and go through the process the same way, we should get them all super, super close doing this type of angle cut right on the sawmill. And as I look down this beam, down where the flat spots are, there's a couple of waves in this beam, and that will cause exactly what we ran into. But that's the process for doing this, at least the one that I used. You could do it 100 different ways, guys. You do this 100 different ways. You could actually measure the sine angle and make yourself a shim to go on the bunks and put one on each bunk with a stop, knowing how far underneath it's going to go. So let's say it had to go underneath an inch. You could measure the sine at 7 inches to get your 18.4. Make yourself a shim that's that thickness with a stop on it, so it stops it so it goes in an inch. And you can make yourself like 4 of them and put them right on the bunks and do it that way too. This way is perfectly fine. You could scribe your angle on here, get it shimmed right down here, check it with the saw band, lift your saw band up, go down the other end, scribe your angle on the other end, back your saw band up against the other end and do the same thing. You could do it that way too. It really doesn't matter. This is way, way close enough for what we're trying to do. And all this does is it means that he can put his 4x8 rafters on the top of this, spaced 2 feet apart, and he can timber lock down through them onto a nice flat surface. So guys, that's all I got for you today. Moral of the story here is more than one way to skin a cat. Some of that process is way overkill for such a simple thing. I've actually cut these from both sides with a circular saw. You can do it that way too, or you can cut the pockets out for the rafters, or you could cut a bird's mouth in the rafters. In that case, you are putting in a right angle corner on the rafter, which, if you know anything about stress, what happens with stress, and the reason that in structural components, for the most time, structural components should be rounded. There should be a radius, because anytime that you have stress, as stress flows through material, when it comes to a round, it flows through the round. When it comes to a corner, when stress hits a corner, it vibrates. And that's what causes cracks. So by cutting a bird's mouth in a rafter, over time of that rafter flexing in the wind and getting blown on and everything else, you can create cracks at the corner of your bird's mouth. How do you alleviate that? Well, you could always round the inside edge of the beam that it's sitting on. You could drill a hole at the corner so there's a radius so that the stress can flow around it. I know that's way, way overkill. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to justify the way I'm doing it versus cutting a bird's mouth in the rafter. You're taking a big chunk of a 4x8 rafter out, cutting a bird's mouth 2 3/8 inch deep in it like this and 8 inches across. This way, the rafters stay at full strength and can just simply be timber locked in. If you're worried about the rafters twisting, then block them like any normal good framer would. Block in between the rafters, and that will keep your rafters from twisting side to side. Obviously, technology's come a long way in timber framing screws, especially with timber locks and timber screws from Simpson. Even the GRK screws that a lot of timber framers use. Their hold down is paramount. The one thing that you wouldn't want to do with these rafters is you wouldn't want to shoot them in with nails, because then you have no protection from lift. Nails have terrific resistance to shear, but zero resistance to lift. If you shot one of those rafters down into a top plate, toenailed it, a decently strong human could get up on top, grab that rafter, if you had a good base to stand on, and pull up on it and rip it out of the top plate. If you put that down with one timber lock or a Simpson timber screw that I like to use with the big flathead on them, some call them ledger locks. They're similar to a Simpson ledger lock. There is no way that a human could pull that rafter out of the top plate with that type of fastener. So we're trying to create resistance to lift. And then the other thing about the big timber screws like timber locks and Simpson timber screws is that they have superior shear strength to a nail. So it's the best of both worlds. The best way that I can equate it is when you are doing, like you're framing a shed like this, if you shoot your walls together with just standard framing nails, let's say you build it mobile. I've done several sheds in my life where we had to put it together at one site, transport it to another site, and then put all the components together at the other site. And, fairly big walls on these things to where you're lifting them with telehandlers and lulls and stuff like that to load them onto trailers and then transport them and then unloading them at the other site. If you shoot this wall together with regular nails and try to pick it up from the top plate with a lull, it'll pull apart. You need to have a mechanical fastener that protects against it pulling apart. So when I frame a building, what I will do, every wall that I build, I'll shoot it together because that makes it so it's really precise in how you get your members like to flush your insides or your outside and on your lines and get them square. When you shoot it, that's real precise. You can get it, one person can get it right perfect. When I only have a single top plate and a single bottom plate, I will actually go around with 4-inch screws and put one 4-inch screw in every single stud right dead in the center. And that means that when you stand them up, or if you have to lift them with a telehandler or a forklift or a bobcat or a front end loader with forks on it, whatever, those screws keep it from pulling apart. And sometimes you can even pull them apart lifting it. If you have a fairly long wall, like a 24, a 30-foot wall, and you got 4 or 5 or 6 human guys down that thing, they're all going to lift it up. Some of them are pushing with boards if it's a tall wall. You can even pull it apart doing that, especially if the guy in the end doesn't lift as fast as the guy on that end. It'll even pull apart like that. So our uplift protection in this case for the roof is going to be that the rafters are timber locked, timber screwed down through the 4-inch thick rafter right straight into the top plate, and the top plate on the high top plate and the low top plate. And that'll make it so that it will never lift off. If you don't use those, you got to go in and put hurricane straps in. The timber locks and timber screws delete the need for having hurricane straps in. Now, it's not a terrible idea to put them in anyway, but if you want that nice clean timber look inside, you don't want to see Simpson straps inside, use the big timber locks. Get good penetration. Don't skimp on your size. Don't go for 1-inch penetration. So those are 8-inch. You're going to use a minimum of a 10-inch timber lock or Simpson timber screw to get yourself good penetration into that top plate, and it'll never lift off. You could pick the structure up from the rafters. So that's what I got for you. Hope you enjoyed watching this. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. If you're new to the channel, give us a thumbs up or give us a thumb down if you didn't like what we did. And please hit that notifications bell so you know when a new video comes out from us. And for Danny, who is over there staring into that lumber bunk incessantly, and myself, this is Pirate Solutions out.